Today's story will probably be one of the most violent on my channel. I want to tell you about a woman who worked as an ordinary nurse. Her name was Jenine Ann Jones, but it was her story that shocked not just the whole of America, but literally the whole world and everyone who heard her. Coincidentally, today, July 13th, she turned 72 and is serving a sentence of 159 years in prison. But about everything in order. While working at several medical clinics in and around San Antonio, Texas, Nurse Jenine Jones practiced perhaps the most disgusting life and death games in American history, injecting countless babies with life-threatening drugs. Jones seemed in awe of putting her patients in mortal danger and squeezing into the role of a hero when she saved their lives. Unfortunately, not everyone could be saved. Jones was born on July 13, 1950 in Texas, USA. At an early age, she was sent to an orphanage and almost immediately she was adopted by nightclub owner Dick Jones and his wife Gladys, Husso. They adopted 3 other children. What happened to her biological parents is unknown. Young Janine's childhood passed quite calmly. According to Janine herself, she studied well, communicated with classmates at school and obeyed her parents. Familiar families always celebrated that the girl is growing up very well-mannered and kind. She loved animals and worked out in the sports section, but it wasn't quite like that. In the course of growing up, there was cruelty for Janine. They lived in a 2-story, 4-bedroom mansion near San Antonio. Dick was an entrepreneur and former professional baseball player. He worked in the entertainment industry, ran nightclubs. The man was generous, but his lifestyle eventually affected his family.
Hey, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You have to subscribe to the channel and like it so you don't miss new videos.
The nightclub failed, and there was less money. Jones tried the restaurant, but this venture also failed. It was difficult for Janine to attract attention to herself. She felt deprived and unfriendly by her parents. She couldn't find a place for herself and called herself a white crow. Sometimes she pretended to be sick to get people's attention, and at school she became overbearing. She was short and plump, which aggravated her loneliness. There were acquaintances who called her aggressive, and friends who said that she betrayed them. She was known for lying and manipulating people. Janine was close to her younger brother Travis. When he was 14 years old, he assembled a homemade bomb that exploded in his face, taking his life. Janine was at that time 16 years old, and during the funeral she screamed and fainted. She had lost her closest friend. Some believe that this injury was the beginning of her special cruelty. Others said she was just pretending and grasping at any opportunity to attract attention to herself. During her senior year of high school, Janine's father began to get sick. He was diagnosed with cancer in the last stage. He refused treatment, as he considered it pointless, and went home to live out his days. He survived Christmas 1967, but soon died at the age of 56, just over a year after Travis' death. Janine was devastated and, although she hadn't finished high school yet, believed that the cure for her pain and loss was to get married immediately. She and her mother began to swear, as the woman tried to find her peace of mind in alcohol. At school, the girl found her love, James Harvey Delaney, with whom they signed in 1968. The couple had a baby. After the decree, Janine got a job as a cosmetologist, but she did not leave her dream of working as a nurse. In 1970, she went to study nursing. In 1974, a year later, the girl's marriage fell apart. She and her husband divorced, but 3 years later, Janine and Harvey reconciled. During the years of their separation, the girl's older brother died. In 1977, she had another child. It would seem that everything began to go well in the nurse's life. She has a happy marriage, 2 children. That's just at one point, law enforcement officers were interested in the statistics of the deaths of infants under the supervision of Janine. At that time, she was working at a Texas hospital in Bexar County, now San Antonio University Hospital, in the pediatric intensive care unit, where a statistically incredible number of children died under her supervision. A series of internal investigations were conducted without any positive recommendations, and eventually a commission consisting of experts from hospitals in the USA and Canada. The group regularly conducted interviews with Bexar employees and was surprised when one of her colleagues directly accused Jenine Jones of taking the lives of babies. The commission, as it often happens, could not come to any final conclusion, except for the assumption that the hospital will do without the services of both Jones and the nurse who accused her of killing babies. The hospital did not investigate further. But the terrible statistics do not end there. Janine left and got a job at a pediatric clinic in Kerrville, Texas, about 100 kilometers northwest of San Antonio. It was at this clinic that she was charged with poisoning 6 children. At the Kerrville Hospital, where, within a few months of Janine starting work, several children began to have breathing problems. When they all came to their senses, the incident was not given much attention, values, and no suspicions were directed at Jones. However, when 14-month-old Chelsea McClellan was taken to the hospital for regular immunization against mumps and measles, it was Jones who gave her the first injection, which led to an immediate seizure. On the way to San Antonio for emergency care, McClellan went into cardiac arrest and died. Others who were treated by Janine while she was in Kerrville. There were attacks of various kinds, although there were no more deaths. But by now, health authorities were concerned about the tragic cases at both hospitals, and Jones was fired for further investigation. The news started talking about 42 deaths under investigation. Children. Suspicions about Janine fell after a doctor found 2 punctures on a bottle of succinylcholine in a drugstore that only he and Jones had access to. It was later discovered that the contents of the apparently full bottle had been heavily diluted with water, while it was estimated that only 20% of the contents of the bottle was medicine. Jones was charged. Succinylcholine is a powerful short-acting paralytic agent that causes temporary paralysis of all muscles, as well as muscles that control breathing. The drug is used as a part of general anesthesia. The patient cannot breathe under the influence of this drug. In young children, cardiac arrest is the end result due to insufficient breathing. Infants admitted to the intensive care unit began to die at an alarming rate. Between May and December 1981, up to 20 infants died in the pediatric department of Bexar County Hospital in San Antonio, Texas, as a result of cardiac arrest or sudden bleeding. At the trial, she tried to put pressure on pity. She said that her foster parents bullied her, that they treated her cruelly, but there was no one to confirm it. The psychiatric examination recognized Janine, fully sane and aware of her actions. On February 15, 1984, Jones was sentenced to 99 years in prison on charges of taking the life of 14-month-old Chelsea McClellan. She was also suspected of the deaths of other children, but the staff of the Bexar County Medical Center Hospital destroyed 9,000 pounds of records, thereby destroying potential evidence that could confirm Janine's involvement in the tragedies. And in 1986, another 60 years were added to the term for the attempted deprivation of the life of Rolando Santos. However, according to local laws, due to overcrowding in prisons, she was supposed to be released on March 1, 2018, having served a third of the original term. But on May 25, 2017, Janine Jones was charged with taking the life of 11-month-old Joshua Sawyer, committed by her on December 12, 1981. Thus, immediately after the exit from prison, Jones was remanded in custody indefinitely for a new trial. In April 2018, she was charged with 5 more reprisals. Jenine Jones is currently serving a life sentence. Every 2 to 3 years, she submits a request for parole. None of the 6 requests were granted. She will not be eligible for parole until she turns 87. People who studied Janine's case were sure that the girl loved attention when she managed to save children from an unknown and unexpected disease, which she herself created. In America, the case of Jenine Ann Jones is very well known. A large number of documentaries and programs have been filmed about her, and a criminal investigation into her crimes is still ongoing.